Okay, so the reason I suggest we should use only this Lutheran Study Bible is the first part is the translation. If we're all using the same one, it's the ESV, which is the English Standard Version. I only prefer the English. It's closer to the original Greek and Hebrew, but it's a little more wooden. Sometimes when you read it, it doesn't flow as smooth as the King James. King James, some of it's like super awesome. Psalm 23, nobody can argue with, is the best way it's written is in the King James. But as far as scripture goes, if you want the closest to the original words, I prefer the ESV. The reason I say this Lutheran Study Bible versus the old one, this one, they actually had Lutheran professors go through and write the commentary. The old one, the one from 1984, it was Zondervan, any random biblical person wrote, she's hiding her book now. Any random biblical person wrote the commentary section in the bottom. They didn't bother changing it to make it, as you would say, Lutheran doctrine. So I prefer the Lutheran Study Bible. I think it's really good. Unfortunately, the paper is extremely thin because they want to jam so much in it. And every page, you almost have more footnotes than you have actual text, which some people love that. Some people find it really annoying. But you can use the King James, you can use an NIV, you can use the Good News Bible, you can use whatever. It's God's Word. And that's the best part. What?
I can't see that in here.
There is larger print over there.
I know it. Well, yeah. Oh, is there a large print?
It's right here in my hand. There's one over there. I got two.
Okay.
Yes, I got two for the blind people.
I could read that at home, but I can't read.
Yeah, there's a large print over there if you want a large print. Okay. Getting back to our text, we're in the book of Acts, and some people were asking me, where has Paul traveled? There is a map on page 1886 in this Lutheran Study Bible, and it shows you how the 3 journeys Paul traveled around the Mediterranean. So right now, we're in the beginning of the 3rd journey, okay? We're down in Jerusalem, and we're about to take a train ride. We're didn't have trains. We're going to get on a plane, okay? We're going to get on a Delta plane, a United plane, and we're going to fly from Jerusalem. This map is only showing where we're at now in Jerusalem. It doesn't show the next route as he's going to head to Rome. See, Rome isn't on the map. We only have Greece. So we're at the end of the 3rd journey, and we're about to head to Rome. So it will be his 4th journey's coming up. Okay? So you ask, where has he been? He's been all over the Middle East. Not the Middle East, the Mediterranean. And these are each of the cities he's stopped at for extended periods. One of them, Ephesus, he stayed there for 3 years. So these aren't like he's on a cruise ship and just gets off for 20 minutes and has to get back on the boat. He stayed for 3 years in Ephesus. So some of these are longer stays. Some of those he was in prison in other cities where people would have him jailed because they said he was doing improper things. And right now, for those who haven't been with us, Paul is currently in Jerusalem. He's on trial. He went to the temple and everybody freaked out and wanted to beat him up because they thought he had brought a Gentile into the temple, which is a big no-no. We had a week, we studied the temple and talked about what goes on in the temple. Well, this was a big no-no, but Paul didn't bring a Greek in the temple. They were just presuming he did. So they're going to stone him while he was in there proclaiming Jesus and the resurrection of all of the dead will be rose, and then everybody freaked out. So then somebody was sent for the Roman soldiers, and they went and got Paul before they killed him. They lifted him up above the crowd, above their heads, and carried him out to the army barracks. They get in the army barracks, and there they go before the centurions and the tribune. The tribune's the guy head of the centurions. 2 centurions and 1 tribune, and they basically said, "What did you do?" He's like, "I didn't do anything." They're like, "Are you sure? Are you that Egyptian who was in here causing trouble, trying to make a right?" He's like, "No, I'm not an Egyptian. I'm actually a Roman citizen." And they're like, "Oh," because Roman citizens have higher rights. And he was a Roman citizen. His family's from Sicilia or Cilicia. I don't remember which one it was, or one of those two. But it was a Roman city that if you're born there, you have the right to be called a Roman citizen if you were born in Rome. This is a big deal because you can't be crucified, you can't be punished, you can't be tortured. Nothing can happen to you. You can plead, you want to have a trial before Caesar himself, and you'll be granted it. So that's about where we're at, okay? So right now we're both going to go on trial before the governor Felix. Felix is now the governor of all of the area of Israel, the Middle East, Palestine, whatever you want to call it. There's no more Pontius Pilate. As we talked last week, Pontius Pilate was shipped off and then stripped of all of his ranking and went off in exile and supposedly committed suicide. He was so upset with himself. So we're in chapter 24. I'll start reading at verse 1. And after 5 days, the high priest Ananias came down with some of the elders and spokesmen, one Tertullus, and they laid before the governor their case against Paul. When he had been summoned, Tertullus began to accuse him, saying, Since through you we enjoy much peace, and since your foresight, most excellent Felix, reforms are being made for this nation. In every way and everywhere, we accept this with all gratitude. But to detain you no further, I beg you, in your kindness, to hear us briefly. We have found this man to be a plague, one who stirs up riots among all the Jews throughout the world and is a ringleader of the sect of the Nazarenes. He even tried to profane the temple, but we seized him. By examining him, you yourself will be able to find out from him about everything of which we accuse him. And then the Jews also joined in the charge, affirming all these things were so. Okay, so Perry Mason, opening lawyer, he's the prosecutor here. He's going for it all, right? Any of you watch a trial on the news at all lately? There's one up in Wisconsin, and and attorneys, in this day and age, the attorneys, they appeal to a judge. It's Felix. Felix is the governor. He's the judge. He's in charge. There's no jury. Everybody's there in the room, but there's no jury. It's just, and so the Jews get together and they gather for 5 days. Okay? Why would you take 5 days before trial? What do you think's going on? Practice to get it right. That's what surprised me. Is I watched a clip on the young man who was found innocent of murder. What? Not guilty. Whatever. He did kill people. But anyways, what I found interesting is just something I don't pay attention to, and it fit perfectly with this text, is they interviewed his lawyer. And his lawyer said, we did 2 mock juries before this trial, because this happened months ago, people. This is like January, wasn't it? Year ago. Yeah, it's been a long time. So they had 2 mock trials in like a back room to see how the jury would react. And the attorney said, we did one without the young man testifying, and we did one with the young man testifying. Okay? And he said, what we found is if he didn't testify, the jury would not vote in his favor. But when he told his story, then the jury did find in his favor. And in the mock trial, which I never even thought about that, is that the attorneys will take and set up and this happens with all attorneys with a big case trial. I'm sure it happened from this to OJ to any of the other trials. And so they set up 2 different events, and they went through the hearing as if they were trying to, see if they could convict him and find him innocent with him being there to speak, and then one there with him not being able to speak. And so why does it take 5 days? They use a bunch of attorneys for these Jews are preparing. Okay? They're preparing because they want to convict Paul. And of course, that would mean, I would think Paul had time to set his own defense up, but his own defense is always the same as, I'm a Roman citizen, I'm going to Caesar. You're not going to convict me here. So this is the same situation. They took 5 days with the elders, and the spokesman's name was Tertullus. Why do you think they chose Tertullus? There is a little clue here. What do you think would be the reason they choose this guy? Not Ananias, not a guy named Judas, not a guy, not any of the other high priests. Why Tertullus? He's probably a very good orator. I'll go ahead and fill you in. The reason they chose him would be he had a Roman name. Now think about this. If you got a Jew with a Roman, who's got a Roman lineage, his name isn't Joseph. His name isn't Jonah. You know, understand what I'm saying? His name is a Roman name, not a Greek name, a Roman name. And so having a Roman name, then like that's going to be our spokesman. Why? Because maybe he's good friends with Governor Felix. Maybe he can persuade him. So that's to hear the opening comments from this attorney. What is he doing here? When he was summoned, Tertullus began to accuse him, saying, "Since through you, Felix, of course, we've enjoyed so much peace. It's been so nice around here since you got here. We love you as our governor. You're most excellent, Felix, and we've approved of all of your reforms." So what is he doing in essence? Yeah, he's kissing up. He's buttering up to the judge. He wants it to go well. And he's not an idiot. He's an attorney. What attorneys do, they do what they need to do to win. And so that's what I think he's going for. Yes? Do they all have a Jewish and Roman name? No, I think this is... What? Hold on. I don't know what's going on. Okay, it came back. Paul, it was formerly known as Saul. Saul is a very Jewish name. You know of King Saul. So, no, he didn't have a Roman name. He had the name of his family and what city they were from. So they're kissing up. They're trying to get Felix swayed. Is it not changing? My computer's acting all weird. I apologize. I'm going to figure out what is going on.
There's a show on TV that did that. It's not called Bull. Yeah, it's a bull show.
I apologize. The streaming is making my computer act all crazy. So I'm